Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Myself Rajnita Bhati and I am again with you today with a new topic of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. In this video, I'll discuss with you the concept of void marriage and voidable marriages. Void marriages and voidable marriages, these two concepts are discussed in section 11 and section 12 and in chapter 4 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. So let's discuss the void marriage and voidable marriage which are given in section 11 and section 12. First of all, we'll discuss section 11. Section 11 says about the void marriages. What is provided in this section? This section says that if any marriage which is solemnized after commencement of this act, then it shall be null and it shall be void if a petition is presented by either party, and that party may be the husband or the wife. Then after that petition, and the grounds of that petition would be clause number 1, 4 and 5 of section 5. What says clause 1 of section 5 and clause 4 and clause 5 of section 5? Please do comment in comment box, because I have taught you about these sections, about these particular subsections in a previous video. So please do comment in comment box. So this section says that if the grounds are available in section 5 and it's clause 1, 4 and 5 of section 5, then any party may present a petition in the court for nullity of their marriage, for declaration of their marriage null and void. So basically, void marriage is not a marriage, not a valid marriage from ab initio, but it is void ab initio, and only the decree of declaration is given by the court under this section. Here we can discuss some cases, like in case Leela versus Lakshmi. Leela versus Lakshmi, Allahabad High Court. In this case, it was held by the court that it is not essential to declare the void marriage void, because it is void ab initio. Only the court declared the fact that the marriage is void by a particular decree. So it is clear from the judgment of this section that void marriage is void ab initio. It is not valid. Next case on this section is Srimati Krishna Devi versus Srimati Tulsa Devi, AIR 1972, and this case is of Punjab and Haryana High Court. In this case, what was said by the Honorable Court? In this case, it was held that if marriage under Hindu law doesn't fulfill the conditions which are laid down in section 5, then what would be the consequences of that marriage? Then that marriage is void. Next case is Srimati Daljit Kaur versus Srimati Amarjit Kaur. In Daljit Kaur case, it was held by Honorable Court that if husband had not obtained decree of divorce prior to his second marriage, means if the first marriage is not declared invalid by divorce, or if there is not divorce between husband and wife, and husband had married again, then what would be the status of that second marriage? This was given in this case by Honorable Court, and court held that this second marriage would be null and void. This marriage would be null and void from ab initio. So here you should know, you should keep in your mind the three cases which are related to void marriage concept. These cases are: first Leela versus Lakshmi, second Srimati Krishna Devi versus Tulsa Devi, and third Srimati Daljit Kaur versus Srimati Amarjit Kaur. Next one is voidable marriage. What do you mean by voidable marriage? Voidable marriage is that marriage in which the marriage is valid. The marriage is valid. unless the court has not declared that marriage voidable. Means if there are some circumstances, if there are some situations between husband and wife that there is necessary to declare that marriage void, then both of those parties can declare their marriage void at that time. So this is voidable marriage, means it is not void from ab initio, but it is valid. It is valid. What section 12 says about voidable marriage? Subsection 1 of section 12 says that any marriage solemnized, whether before the commencement of this act or after the commencement of this act, shall be voidable, and it may be annulled by a decree of nullity on some of the grounds. So, which are the grounds which are provided in section 12 for voidable marriage? These are to keep in your mind that what are the grounds which are available under section 12. So, first ground is impotence, that marriage has not been consummated due to the impotence of respondent. If respondent is impotent and due to this particular reason the marriage has not been consummated, then this is valid ground for voidable marriage. And second one, that if the marriage is in contravention of condition which is specified in clause 2 of section 5. So again you have to mention in comment box that what says clause 2 of section 5, because I have discussed this section with you. Or third ground may be that the consent of petitioner or the consent of guardian in marriage of petitioner has been obtained by force or by fraud. Means there is not actual consent of petitioner or the guardian of petitioner if that petitioner is minor. This particular clause C is substituted by Act number 2 of 1978. So you have to keep in your mind that from which year this clause is substituted. So this clause is substituted by Act number 2 of 1978, from 1978 onwards. So basically C clause says that if the consent is obtained by force. And last fourth ground is that if the respondent was at the time of marriage pregnant by some person and that person is not the petitioner, it means that from other than the petitioner. So these are the four grounds which are available under section 12 to declare the marriage voidable. Again I am repeating these grounds. First, inability of respondent to consume marriage on account of his or her impotency, means impotency may be of husband, impotency may be of wife. Second, respondent's incapacity to consent or his or her suffering from mental disorder. Mental disorder, I am telling you about that this mental disorder and soundness of mind and in recurrent attacks of epilepsy, these are given in section 5 and clause 2. And next one is that concealment of pre-marriage pregnancy by respondent, and fourth, consent of petitioner being obtained by fraud or force. So these are the grounds which are available for a respondent or for a petitioner to declare their marriage voidable. Now we will discuss that consent of the guardian or consent of the petitioner is obtained by force. This is substituted by Act number 1978. But the subsection 2 of section 12 also says some other points, like no petition for annulling a marriage, number A, on the ground which is specified in clause C, that is the consent obtained by force. So here 2 points are to keep in your mind. First one, that the petition should be presented within 1 year. If the petition presented more than 1 year after the force had ceased to operate, or as the case may be by the fraud had been discovered. So here 1 year term is to keep in your mind. This is essential 1 year. What is the term to present the petition? It is 1 year after force had ceased to operate. And second, the petitioner has with his or her full consent lived with the other party to marriage as husband or wife after force had ceased to operate. So these are the two grounds which are to keep in your mind before applying clause C of section 12 and subsection 1 of section 12. Next one is that if we have discussed earlier that if the respondent is pregnant by some other person which is not petitioner, so this is also for some grounds, like 1, if petitioner was at time of marriage ignorant of the facts alleged, only then this ground can be entertained. And this is for the court, means this is the for court to satisfy itself that if the petitioner was at the time of marriage ignorant of this fact, that his wife is pregnant with some other person. If he is not ignorant, if he know about this fact, then he cannot present the petition under this section. Second, the proceedings have been instituted in case of marriage solemnized before commencement of this act within 1 year of such commencement. 1 year is a mandatory provision. It means that presentation of the petition in the court should be within 1 year of such commencement of the act, or it will be within 1 year from the date of the marriage. If the ground is of pregnancy of a respondent with some other person and other than the petitioner, so the limitation period is 1 year here. And next one is third ground which is given is that marital intercourse with consent of petitioner has not taken place since discovery by petitioner of existence of said ground. So these are the means here the consent of petitioner has not been taken place. Only then the court shall entertain the petition under section 12. So these are the provisions which are mentioned in Hindu Marriage Act 1955 about the void marriage and voidable marriage under section 11 and section 12. So here the question again is that what is the difference between void marriage and voidable marriage? Again you have to note a point that what is the case on voidable marriage. The case is Mahendra versus Sushila Bai. And in this case it is held that where wife admitted her pregnancy from before solemnization of marriage, then when husband had not met her, the case would be covered under section 12(1)(d). Here as the husband knows about the fact of her pregnancy, so here husband cannot present the case under clause D of subsection 1 of section 12. As also we have discussed earlier about this. This is given in subsection 2 and clause B of subsection 2. So what is the difference between void marriage and voidable marriages? Void marriage is not valid marriage, it is void ab initio, but voidable marriage is valid marriage unless it is declared voidable by the court. Second distinction between these two is that in void marriage, husband and wife status is not available to the parties of marriage, and the the children are not legitimate children, or there is no creation of rights or duties between the parties of the marriage under void marriage. And in voidable marriage, here the status of husband and wife are available to parties. Here the children are legitimate, and also there is creation of some rights, some kind of duties, some kind of liabilities between the parties of marriage. Third distinction between these two is that number third in void marriage, that in void marriage no party can marry without decree of court. If if the marriage is done between the parties, then those parties will not be culprit in under the offense of bigamy. So, in under void marriage, without a decree of court, the parties can marry. But in voidable marriage, without decree of court, parties cannot remarry. Because if they remarry, then they will be punishable for the offense of bigamy. And next one is that for void marriage, there is no necessary of decree of court. There is no necessity of decree of court. And in voidable marriage, to declare the marriage void, there is necessity of decree of court. Next distinction may be that in void marriage, the wife can get maintenance or can get the decree of maintenance under section 125 of CRPC. But in voidable marriage, the wife can get maintenance, but in void marriage, wife cannot get maintenance under section 125 of CRPC. This is the basic difference. And next one is that void marriage is declared in section 11 of Hindu Marriage Act, but voidable marriage is discussed in section 12 of Hindu Marriage Act. And next one distinction may be that in void marriage, the marriage is declared void by court on the grounds of these particular sections, like section 5 subsection 1, section 5 clause 1, clause 4 and clause 5. But in voidable marriage, the marriage is declared voidable on 4 grounds which are mentioned in section 12. And the difference for the following two, void marriage and voidable marriage, the difference in the case on the difference of these two particular sections, these two particular topics, is Shilavati versus Ram Nandini. Shilavati versus Ram Nandini, 1981 Allahabad High Court. In this case, the difference between void marriage and voidable marriage is discussed, and it is clear that to declare the marriage void, any party can apply in the court. But to declare the marriage voidable, only the affected party, only the victim party can apply in the court for the decree of voidable marriage. So it was all about the void marriage and voidable marriages. First of all, I told you the provisions of Bayer Act which are mentioned in section 11 and section 12, and with the case laws also. And after that, I discussed with you the difference between void marriage and voidable marriages. I hope you all got this point, and you understood this, and you also enjoyed this video. So in the next video, we will discuss about section 13 and also about desertion, adultery and cruelty, which are the grounds for divorce. So in the next video, we will discuss about this. So guys, please share this video to your friends, to your colleagues also, and also do comment in the comment box, and what is the need of reformation in this particular platform. So please keep your suggestions in the comment box. Okay, thank you guys.